Hello everyone, this is the first series in which we are teaching web development, and here we have created index.js, and I have two imports, one is Express and the other is Fetch. And you find yourself asking what Express is, and this is a very simple tool for building simple APIs in Node.js, and we will use it throughout this video to build our simple API. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is to define our app using Express. Then we are going to define our port, which is going to be 3000, sorry, which is default, let's say. And then what we're going to do is to say app.get, and here we are going to define some URL, for example api.random, because we are going to fetch random images from a doc API. We'll see that in a second. Here we are setting a async and receiving two parameters, request and response. And what we are going to do next is const data response and await our response from fetching this exact URL that I'm going to type in. Basically what we are doing here is saying, hey, this URL, give me some random doc image, and we are receiving it in the response. And it's going to be cool if we use try and we put that code in. Oh, sorry, maybe that's a better way. And here we will have catch error, because when we are awaiting something, we usually want to surround it with try and catch block, because if the server will fetching data from returns an error, we are going to catch it and our app is not going to fail and broke. What we are going to do next is having the response parsed to JSON, and we are going to await this as well, because otherwise this is going to return a promise. What we are going to do finally is going to return the data to the front end or the client. Basically that's what usually API does, and I have an image for this. You can see that the customer of the client side is on the left, and the API is serving them what you're going to order, they're telling, and the API of the waiter is going back to the kitchen saying to the server, hey, this customer wants this data or this meal, and the server is preparing it in the meanwhile, and the waiter, whenever it's ready, is returning it back to the client. Basically, this is what we are doing now. Whenever our client hits this URL, we are fetching data from another API. Our app is serving as a middleware here, we can say. It stands between the client and another API. So what we are going to do here is just return an error here with the error message. That's going to be enough, and set a status here of 500, which is an error status with an error here. Failed to fetch. Okay, that's all for this code snippet. And the last thing we should do is to say app.listen on port. Then we have some our function here, and we are going to console log that the server is running here on this port, but that's not enough, and we are going to also add this to the URL here. And I have a typo, listen. Okay, now that should be fine. The one last thing to do is to make sure that you have download these imports, which is done by npm.install or just Express. That could take a second. And do the same for the node fetch. Okay, I'm not going to install them because I have already done. I is short for the install, and you can write node fetch, install that as well, and also make sure in the package.json you have type model, type model, because only this way the ESLint imports are going to work. Typically, Node.js is using the require keyword. Okay, so maybe we can clear the console and okay, let's try our app we have built with React by writing node index.js. We can see our server is running on the local host, and if we open that in the browser, we can say that we have successfully fetched data from the third-party API, and here we have the message, which is an URL and our status of success. And if we hit that in the browser, we can see that doc. Wow, it's really messy. So I hope you like this video and you will learn something interesting. If you want to keep the series up, drop a comment below and see you in the next one.